Okay, this video covers the installation of NetBSD 5.02, and I've already inserted the CD into the CD drive and rebooted the computer, so it'll boot on the CD. And this is the first screen that we get to, and we are doing an installation in English, so we'll do installation messages in English and hit enter. Keyboard type US English, enter, and then install NetBSD to hard disk. Shall we continue? Yes. And we don't have any other disk on here, so we're just going to hit enter. We're going to do a full installation, and I'm assuming that this is the correct geometry, so this should be fine. We don't need to change anything for our hard drive, and we're going to use the entire disk. We don't have any other operating systems on this machine. And yes, we want to install the master boot record, and we're going to go ahead and set the sizes of the NetBSD partitions. And for the root partition, we're going to do everything on an 8 gig drive. Anything over 8 gigs is gravy, as icing on the cake here. So the root partition, we're going to make 384 meg. The swap partition, I'm actually going to make it a little bit larger. I don't have a lot of RAM on this machine, so I'm just going to put the swap as just as big as the RAM for right now. It should be fine for our purposes. Slash temp, we'll make 128 meg. Slash user, I'm going to make this 4.870 gig. And slash var needs to be pretty large, so I'm going to make this 512 meg. And then I'll let the home partition take up the rest of the disk space, which right now is 1912 meg, or 1.9 gig. And we'll accept the partition sizes. The default name of the disk will suit our purposes, and we are ready to install. So I'm going to click on yes. Okay, and it's partitioning the drives and creating the file systems. Now, there's lots of good reasons to partition your disk the way that I did for a Unix server. Slash var, you have a separate partition for slash var, so that way your machine doesn't come crashing down if it fills up with, if your log files swell to enormous size, which shouldn't happen unless something else is wrong. Your log files should remain within comparable sizes, with the system automatically rotating your log files and deleting old logs. And we have a separate user partition, separate from the root partition. So if we install any new programs, it's not going to, again, the disk space taken won't swell to the point to where it keeps the system from running altogether. And then we have a separate home partition for our users. Even if we only have 1 or 2 users on the system, it's a good idea to have a separate home partition. As you log in on your system as a regular user, there's a lot of different things that you do. You might try to download some packages that you want to install, or some data files, maybe some SQL files to put into a database. And since you're doing that work, you really want it separate from the running system, so it doesn't interfere with the overall running of the system. It's just good prudence to do that, especially when you have other people depending on your server's services. You don't want to bring down a web server just because you had to upload an SQL file that was much larger than you thought it was, or download a program that was much larger than you thought it was. Okay, enough of the gibber, I guess. We're done with the disks, and we're going to go ahead and use the Use BIOS console. These other options are if you wanted to connect with a serial port. So use BIOS console. and then exit. We'll hit enter twice for that. Progress bar, which is good. Okay, install from CD-ROM, which is what we're doing, so I'm going to click on that. You also have options from installing with using FTP or HTTP or even NFS, but we got CD-ROM. The device is correct. I'm going to scroll down to continue and hit enter, and it's doing a full installation on the disks that we've partitioned and mounted now. It should only take a few minutes. Okay, and the installation is complete. We'll go ahead and hit enter. Now we set the time zone. I'm in the eastern United States, so I hit America. We're on New York time, so we'll scroll down to New York and then exit. Now I like nice long passwords, and DES only allows me, I think, 8 characters for the password, so I'm just going to go to MD5. Most systems use MD5 anyway. Linux uses MD5, and for password encryption that's strong enough. And yes, I do want to set the root password, and I'm going to make this root password nice and secure. Verify the password I just typed in. Finished. Root shell, my favorite's corn shell, which is KSH, so I'm going to go to that and hit enter. And that's it. Click enter to continue. Thank you for using NetBSD. We're back to the initial install screen. Well, we're ready to reboot the computer. So that's what we're going to do, is reboot, and when the system comes back up, we'll continue from there.